Crack open that bottle of wine. Grab your favorite glass, pour a couple of fingers of scotch in it. Get that stick, light it, and blow. It's time to hang with Steel Sharpened Steel After Dark.
I still love that jam.
It always makes me want to do my little fake shoulder roll.
Oh yeah, a little shoulder.
I've been thinking
roll.
I'm a Kappa for like 5 minutes.
Welcome to this special After Dark edition of Steel Sharpened Steel. I'm Tom Cunningham.
I'm Joy Stevens.
I gotta say, when we're playing the countdown to the intro, it's a full minute, and when I get past like 35 seconds and I don't see a hey from Anthony Turner or a hi, I'm like, what the hell? So is he in a car accident? Where is he? What's going on? Oh, I see. So the draft. So yeah, it's appropriate that this is going to be kind of like a truncated or trumpated, however you want to say it, truncated, Trump hating. Because there's lots of stuff going on, and among the things that are going on is that I've got to pick up my son from a quinceañera rehearsal. So we're gonna kind of try to keep it.
We're gonna keep it brief.
We're gonna keep it brief and focused. We say that all the time, but we're actually gonna try to keep it brief and focused. So our number one story, the thing that we led with, the thing that has been on the top of all of the charts of news is the trial has actually begun. We're beyond jury selection. We're beyond the seating of the alternates. We're beyond all of that. We are actually in the testimony phase. And the person who has been getting all the attention because he's been the number one person, obviously Passover happened this week, so nothing happened on Wednesday. Today we resumed testimony. They ended early. There's no court tomorrow. So, there is court tomorrow because they missed it on Wednesday. David Pecker, former head of the company that owns the National Enquirer. And day one was direct from the prosecution, and today was mostly redirect from the defense attorney. Now, a lot has happened since we began. There have been new things raised and charged with Trump violating the gag order, and he cannot stand it. Posting an article that is critical and naming people that are protected from the gag order is not him posting it. Him posting an article that defames and attacks these people is not the same as him attacking them, even though obviously he's got the largest platform on his own social media platform.
Right. He's playing with fire. Yeah.
He's playing with fire. And so they came up with 10 violations. They were trying to charge him $1,000 a piece. There's been speculation that, in fact, Trump is trying to get himself sent to jail because he feels, A, it would be brief, and B, it would make him a huge martyr with his MAGA people.
Yes. And that is, I think that is the strategy. I don't think it's his strategy. I think somebody decided to lean into the spin, lean into the swerve, right? Like, he's going to keep talking. He's not going to shut up. We've known this for years, that he would talk himself into a hole if ever put on trial.
Correct.
And here we are, him doing exactly that. So since you can't shut him up, turn that into a positive for his campaign and let him keep talking, because his base loves to hear him and see him do these types of things. Let him naturally be in contempt and then go to jail. And then there'll be all sorts of images that come out of him, like looking like a political victim, and then all of the things about Biden going after his political enemies, et cetera, et cetera. I'm in jail. Look at this. I didn't even do anything wrong. And people are going to eat that shit up.
The thing that's crazy about him making the argument about what Biden is doing is literally in the Supreme Court. His lawyers argue today to a visibly disgusted Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan. Literally, his attorney argued that the president could, as an official act, decide that someone was guilty and send an assassination team after them. And that would be protected because absolute immunity is what is required. And the only way a president can be in any way harmed or brought to heel or whatever is through a purely political process, which really isn't any sort of trial, but that being impeachment and then confirmation of the impeachment and removal in the Senate, which is so impossible in this day and age. You're basically saying that the president can do anything. And these twats on the conservative side of the court appear ready to adopt at least some threads of that line of reasoning in order to help thwart some of Jack Smith's case against Trump, which is not even the case that was likely to come up next, but still.
And if you think about it, they have no reason not to, because anything that they can help Trump get away with and hopefully have the public opinion be in his favor because they just love the man, they can get policy put in place for other people to do what the man is doing, so that after he's off the stage, these things will have precedence because, well, Trump did it. And it won't matter. It won't matter in 5 years whether people like that other person or not. They will be able to get away with murder because Trump did. You know, and so once that precedent is set, then they can start to trickle it down. Well, you know, a sitting member of the Senate can't possibly be held responsible for a DUI, which they already do. But, you know, they can start to make totalitarianism legal, which is their ultimate goal.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about the calls for Sotomayor to step down and recuse herself because of her failing health. And, you know, I know she is very vigorously saying that it is not a problem for her to stay on, but a lot of people are looking at it like, look, Biden, while you got the Senate, why don't you get somebody who's like 37 years old in there?
I mean, we just saw at the beginning of
Cortez in there, please. Shit, I'll take her.
At the beginning of Obama's second term, RBJ was Ruth Bader Ginsburg was fine. She was old, but she was fine, and she knew she could hang in there another 4-5 years, right? Nope. And she did, but the elections didn't go the way she expected them to, and so here we are. You know, so learning from that, even though Sotomayor's health is fine now, the age is there. And I'm not saying this to be or sound ageist. I'm just saying it is a fact of nature that the possibility of her not being able to live out another 4 years is there, or of not even being able to handle the pressures of the job. And God forbid he doesn't get a second term, and that spot is vacated, because I don't want to say she leaves this earth, but that spot is vacated for health reasons. You know, 2 months before the next election in 2028, the Republicans are gonna put somebody in that spot.
Oh, absolutely.
If they hold the presidency this time around, but it's too many ifs when she could just drop now. And you know what though? But if she did at this point in the election year, they might try to pull that bullshit they pulled on Obama, talking about the next president.
But the difference is that since then, two things have changed. One, it doesn't have to be 2/3; it's simple majority now. And so they can get on a SCOTUS because what's his name did it. He did it for Trump. Yeah. His second appointment happened in that sweet zone. Yeah. A shorter time zone, closer to when Obama's end of term was. So there's no guarantee. And Mitch McConnell ain't making another 4 years, no way. So
I'm surprised his master hasn't called him home yet. Like, hasn't he done enough evil to atone? I mean, shouldn't he be a general in hell or something by now?
I mean,
because we saw the phone call. We remember the phone call when the devil called him on live TV and he froze up while he was talking to him. We saw that. So why has he not come to collect? You know, listen, he's walking embodiment of only the good die young.
I don't know what kind of Faustian bargain he has made with Beelzebub, but clearly it is not yet his time. But we'll see. I mean, when it happens, we will definitely see. And he will not be replaced by a Democratic appointment, thanks to what the Kentucky legislature did, which is just shady as hell. I mean,
it's always shady. There's always this, and people think it's like some small cabal, and it's not. And that's the misunderstanding that so many folks have when it comes to, you know, the mysteries of power with respect to politics. They think it's like a group of like 10 men running around doing nothing. It is hundreds, hundreds of people that all have a common goal of maintaining their own power and
Right.
creating these alliances for their own benefit in the moment. It shifts all the time. So you can't ever assume that, oh, well, this guy will die off and then it'll be better. No, the group continues to rotate their membership. So it's always there, and there's always somebody on the bench. Remember those images we saw of, what was his name? Oh, it was a really popular older politician with Kavanaugh from like 30 years ago, which helped me understand they've been grooming Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court my whole life. Right. This is not a short game. So, but we said we was going to be focused. So back to focus.
So we saw a lot of developments in the Trump case. One of the things that happened today that was disappointing for Trump because there were some ideas that maybe the news from SCOTUS was in his favor, and there may be some other legal developments in terms of the cross that the guy, the cross examiner on his side, his last name is Bove, 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 which is, it just reminds me of The Princess Bride, to blave. But it turns out that the judge in the E. Jean Carroll defamation case with the $83 million verdict, plus the $5 million, both of which are bonded out, said, nah, there is no new trial. You're done. It's a wrap.
Yeah, it is what it is.
You're cooked. And so apparently that money is very close to being released. And so that $90 million basically is going to be off the table. That's done. He's lost that cash. The other thing that happened is that there were some concerns about the $435 or $475 million plus interest, blah, 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 that got knocked down to $175. But then they started examining it, and it turned out that the guy who supposedly bonded out the amount didn't actually have sufficient reserves to make a bond of that size. And then there was a question as to whether or not the assets that were being held were actually sufficient to cover
a whole house of financial cards coming.
So what ended up happening is that, oh no, the money that they had deeded as the backup was still in Trump's control. It wasn't in the control of the bonding agent. So he could still be spending the money instead of holding the money. And
which
so,
he would.
He absolutely would spend that money. So they ended up getting that switched so that Trump doesn't have access to the cash anymore. And instead of charging him the full $475, they allowed the $175 to stand, since it is a cash-backed bond. It's not real estate or anything like that. It's literally $175 million in cash, which apparently is how liquid he was, because he's got to live off something. So yeah. He ended up getting that amount, and now that's all sorted out. So we're kind of still proceeding with everything that's going on as far as that case is concerned. But it's legal problems after legal problem after legal problem for Trump. And now that he's actually on trial, it's just the same thing. Just press the recording. Every day he walks out, it's horrible, it's a sham. Oh, the legal scholars. First of all, there aren't any legal scholars. Dershowitz, who's been in your pocket.
It doesn't matter who said what. He spins his own narrative.
Right. And you are
whoever he's mad at today is the one that he turns himself into the victim. You know,
right. So
women, Black people, children,
anything. Right.
High schoolers learning how to vote. It's like they're all out to get him.
Orange people. The DJT stock has been on a roller coaster. However, since it was able to meet the incredibly low threshold of staying above $17 a share over the course of 20 out of the last 30 days, he gets another issuance of stock. And, you know, again, on paper, it
sounds like he got money.
Right. He's getting some more loot. However, the issuance of that extra tranche of shares dilutes everybody else's shares, and he still can't sell them anyway. And the stock is less than 50% of its trading high when it opened. So there is nothing behind this company. It is a meme stock. Devin Nunes is getting on television saying things designed to engineer and unreasonably support and buffer this failing attempt at a stock. And it's disgusting. It's indefensible. But
it's par for the course.
Of course.
No pun intended. But I mean, when has he ever been a part of a business venture that turned a profit? ever.
Never.
I'm not saying that they didn't make money. I'm
Right.
saying they didn't turn a profit.
Trump steaks, Trump
Trump
University, casinos.
These Bibles, them shoes.
How dumb. Oh, and they did a thing on the Bibles. You know that that's not real leather on those Bibles, right?
Really?
It's not real leather. And the paper is so thin that the pages stick together. And guess where the Bible is printed?
China.
Of course, it's China.
Of course it's China.
In China.
His suits are, because he's got the connection. His suits are made in China.
Right. Everything. The ties, Ivanka's shitty fashion line, everything. Now,
Right.
this is
The
not
gold toilet.
this is not the Trump Bible. This is the very best Bible. It's got all of the biblical
What is
things
that
in
though?
it. What this is a portfolio. It's a notebook from Norfolk State University. My good fraternity brother gave it to me. Like this Norfolk State pad, there's nothing in this Bible. Write your own. Write your own
it's got
biblical
all
stories.
of Trump's good deeds written in it. I see them.
Yeah, exactly. Every single one, every page is blank, so you can create your own narrative where I'm God.
Ooh, bruh.
So it's really amazing. The pages are sticky. Some comedian said that given the proclivities of some of Trump's supporters, the idea of receiving a Bible from him with sticky pages is a daunting encounter. And listen,
the OnlyFans versions.
Oh, 2 Corinthians walk into a bar, but ching, and it's really a messy set of circumstances with Donald Trump. On the other hand, something that happened this week, which was a bright spot as far as I'm concerned. If you care anything about the situation in Ukraine, MAGA Mike Johnson, current, perhaps soon to be departed Speaker of the House, he bucked his coalition and violated the Hastert rule. For those of you who weren't born in that part of American history, the Hastert rule basically said that you don't bring, as a Republican, you don't bring something to the floor that cannot pass without any Democratic vote. So the Republican conference has to have a sufficient majority to pass it. Now, as Mike Johnson has said, this is the smallest majority in the history of the country. And so he knew this was important, and he knew that Democrats thought it was important, and he knew that if he brought it to the floor, there would be enough Democrats to get it out of the House so it could go to the Senate. It passed overwhelmingly and almost instantaneously in the Senate. But what it means is $65 billion in aid to the Ukraine that has been held up for months and months and months and months and months. And because when they had the opportunity to get some border security in it, and Donald Trump said no, thinking it was going to stop everything and it was going to prevent Biden from getting this funding for Ukraine, which Biden thinks is very important, but Trump thinks is nothing because he loves Putin. It looked like that was going to happen, that the aid was going to be stalled and that Ukraine wasn't going to be able to hold out and that Russia was going to be able to prevail. But this $65 billion has changed the calculus. It might be too little too late, but what Mike Johnson understood that a lot of the MAGA Republicans did not understand is that Ukraine's going to use that money to buy weapons from Americans.
Right. So we're basically donating weapons to Ukraine.
We're donating weapons to Ukraine while paying arms manufacturers in places like Ohio and places in the Rust Belt where industry still exists. And
it's like a gigantic international money laundering thing. We're going to give them money, and then they're going to give us the money back for these guns that we made, and we're going to pay all of Indiana. Yeah.
And Mitch McConnell said as much. I mean, months ago, Mitch said, this is a good bill because, you realize, but I mean, Ukraine aid is coming back to us in weapons. So.
I mean, it's one of the reasons that this country, or the leaders of the country, have always turned a blind eye to the warmongering that goes on, because it is a financial boom for the people that make the guns, which tended to be here in the States.
Military industrial,
the military guns.
Yeah, no, listen, whatever gets them what they need, I'm fine with, because, the Israel-Palestine thing predates us being on this planet. And I don't know what it is going to take. I am encouraged that so many young people are you know, really stepping into their moral position and you know, not doing the convenient thing, and are you know, the very fact that these schools are canceling graduation.
Graduation.
The University of Southern California canceled its main graduation. Now, I've been to many Black graduations at USC. It's much more fun. But they've canceled the main graduation because they didn't want to let the valedictorian speak, because it was clear that the valedictorian was going to raise issues about Gaza.
And if you think about it, like people, Americans specifically, have a very short memory and very short attention span. People act like this is unprecedented to have students out here protesting the war. What do you think the hippies were doing during the Vietnam War? It's the exact same age demographic, exact same situation. Hey, we need to pull out of something we don't have no business being in, and our support is causing murder on the other side of the world. It's the same shit, you know. It's more intense now because we have the internet as opposed to just the front page of the newspaper 3 days later. But the desire for young people to see fairness in the world is something that gets beat out of us over time. So I'm here for it. I understand what the kids are protesting for. The fearful elder in me worries what might happen if that young demographic stays home, because the young demographic on the Republican side is being told to go vote. And they do what their parents tell them. And so my fear is that we end up with losing, you know, because they don't pay attention to the long game. Because I've even seen the interviews where they've said, we don't think Trump is better, and we think that Biden is lesser two evils. And I have heard them express some nuance of, I'm voting non-committed in these primaries, or, you know, early on when people ask me, but they're probably still going to vote for Biden because they get it. But their message encourages other people who don't get it to go all in, similar to the Bernie Bros in 2020, 2016. So
you know, I saw an interview where Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was asked this question about how youth and being disaffected, and she's a very savvy and intelligent and capable woman. First off, but as a politician, her instincts are absolutely amazing, just so incredible. And she did a marvelous job of kind of threading the needle and not apologizing for anything, but making it very clear that one of the things that you have to consider is, are you going to try to partner with someone or vote for somebody who you feel is open to hearing your side and negotiating in good faith? Or are you going to support or allow someone to win who you know is the absolute antithesis of that? And are you going to, in the face of being, you know, you're calling yourself a single issue voter, but the world doesn't work like that. It's a lot more complex. And we are not just voting for president. The Senate is in the balance. The House is in the balance every single time. You have local elections. It's not just about this one guy, but if you don't create an environment for that guy to do what needs to be done, then nobody wins.
Right. He starts off as a lame duck.
Right.
Because there's nothing he can do.
And there's nothing he can do. And so
the issues around like gerrymandering region by region across the United States is a local issue. Right. Whoever's in office in whoever's in DC isn't going to have much sway over that locally unless it becomes unconstitutional, which is a whole 2 and 3 year thing. Sometimes they'll redraw these districts before an election, and the election happens while they're arguing about it. So we've got to, just like Anthony is saying here, we got to be strategic, federal, state, and local. I've got friends that are running, that are, sitting judges in other states. I've got friends who are looking at their school board, at their housing offices, et cetera, trying to get involved, in their mid 40s to late 50s, because somebody's got to wrest control from the people that literally are saying over their cold, dead bodies. I'm
going to say this, and I'm speaking right to you, Cornel West. I don't know what state you live in. How about you run for governor, bro? Because you're not going to win the White House. You are not. And it shouldn't be where you start anyway, because not a single, in the modern political era, not a single third-party candidate has earned even one electoral vote. You had a wrestler up in Minnesota become governor. Fine. Be governor of Connecticut or New Jersey or
Or wherever
something.
you want. And you know
Be
what? To your
governor
point about
outside of the barbershop you need to visit more often. But don't screw up by getting on the ballot in 10 states and their swing states, and you pull a couple of disaffected people from this
you
thing.
pull a Jill Stein on everybody.
Don't Jill Stein us, Cornell. You will end your career.
Here's the thing that I want people to think about. I would like to see us become a three-party system, or take away parties altogether and make people run on individual merit. I would love to see that. I would love that to start December 1st, right? Because what tends to happen is nobody pays attention to politics until the vote is coming up, and then we want our demands to be met. Well, we need to be heard. You ain't said shit. You ain't said shit for 3.5 years, and now here you are making demands when death is on the line, And I want you to start making those demands as soon as they get in office, and don't let up. And if we were able to form a relevant third-party option, if it was somebody who, a group that was sick of the Democrat shit, and they could talk to some of their moderate Republican friends who are also sick of the Republican shit, you got the makings of that 2% swing. And then everybody has to romance them on both sides, right?
You got to do that in a state where that sort of balance actually happens. It needs to be a state as large as California.
Like Texas.
You have some real hardcore conservatives in California. And then you have some real super duper progressives in California. And then you've got a squishy middle where it's socially liberal, but fiscally conservative, or perhaps on the progressive side, a bit more culturally conservative, but fiscally and, more on the social,
a little bit of everything
and all that thing. You've got mixes. And so you could find some candidates, and there have been some candidates here that kind of go non-affiliated to be comptroller or something like that. But you need that sort of state where it's, or a small state like Maine, where nobody cares, or Vermont, where there's only 12.
That's not nice.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's a big old,
not as densely populated as some of the louder
states. Not as densely populated and a lot more homogenous. And so, they kind of got that Yankee independence and all that going on. But the point is that you've got to be able to demonstrate that your message can be acted on by a sufficient population to make it viable.
I want to touch on what Sadita's saying here, us saying, not now, not right now. And them saying, well, then when then? That is the same argument put forth during the civil rights era, where white people were saying, not right now, not right now. We'll get to it soon. I promise you. Let us handle whatever other crisis. And black people saying, well, when then? We're seeing the same thing from the younger generation. Y'all keep saying that we need equality. You keep telling us to wait for something else to die off so that we have a better shot. Ain't nothing dying. We've been talking about racists dying off since the 50s. They're still here. Matter of fact, some of them ain't even 50 years old. So this is a really good point. There is no right time. And if something comes to pass and we find a crazy person in the White House in November, then all right, let's tear it all down and start over, because it will be torn to pieces. This country will fall apart.
Listen, I want to be clear. I'm not saying not now. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a perfect example of how now can translate into real results. I'm saying not now for the presidency when you don't even have a governor. Can I have a mayor of a top 10 city that has some sort of party, that has some sort of platform? All I'm saying is that no one rises to the president in one cycle. And Cornel West has not been, there were people there. The Communist Party has put up people throughout the years, never gotten a single vote. Cornel West went from being a piece of the public intelligentsia to starring in the worst of the Matrix sequels in a cameo.
I forgot he was.
Yeah, that's right. To being a gadfly who was attacking Obama and Clinton, and now he decides that he's going to be president. You're not going to be president, Cornell. And it's if you young people, I'm crazy. I'm not exactly old, but I'm not young.
We're old. We're old.
Okay, so we're old.
We're 2 generations back.
I'm a Zoomer. So get your stuff done, but get it done where you can make it happen and you can see the immediate results. You are not causing a nationwide transformation of this political system from your dorm room. You can do something in your town. You can do something in your city or maybe your county, your state.
Look at what's happening in Tennessee. You've got very outspoken, very vocal, very young people making a hell of a change. You know,
and did not run for president.
True.
They ran for their state legislature. That's what they did. So
same as the governor and mayor in Baltimore.
I mean, there's all sorts of people who are doing things. I'm not saying don't be involved in weight. I am not saying that. Right. I am saying that the presidency is not where you start. And
if you're looking for the president of the United States to do something about your local property taxes, you don't understand the government.
You don't understand the government. You don't understand anything. And by the way, listen, I am no fan of what's going on in Palestine or Israel, Gaza. I'm not. He done wiped out like $65 billion of your student loans. And that is going to affect your life.
Yes.
If morally you are offended by what's going on, and you should be outraged, but you do not understand. We were talking about this last week. My colleague got $1 million of debt written off her sheet. And if you don't think that matters to you,
we need to talk about that. We need to talk about the nuances of that, because a lot of people believe that if your friend had $1 million of debt, why did she borrow $1 million? She didn't. She probably borrowed somewhere like $150,000, $200,000, which isn't a whole lot for the colleges that we tell our kids they need to graduate from at this point. That with the compound interest over so many years, she's paid off that original principal 2 times over and still has $1 million worth of interest to pay, and then late fees and stuff on top of that. So the forgiveness is not of money owed, it's of interest accrued. You know, and so forgiving the interest on a lot of these people, you know, if you borrow $20,000 in 1995, and here you are 30 years later, and you still owe $18,000, but you've paid $35,000 so far. How does that math work? And it's predatory lending. It is unfair, especially loaning something to a college student where their whole life hinges on whether or not they can do well in school.
They can get that,
and they're graduating as indentured servants. And so giving them this freedom, this is giving them the freedom that we wish we'd had when we were indentured servants 100 years ago. You know, it's the same thing. Debt forgiveness was introduced to the Congress for the first time by the Black contingent in 1867 or somewhere in there. We've been on this idea of, you know what, this debt is crushing me, and I would appreciate some debt relief. So the idea of debt forgiveness starts with us. So why are we mad?
Don't get it twisted. Please don't be.
But also don't forget that he did get that done for y'all.
He really did. And so don't get it twisted. Again, horrible situation, not of his making. It predates even really him being in politics. Let's be clear. Right. That's how long this is going on.
Right. And we're talking 1940s legacy problems.
Yeah. This is a long.
And I also want to say it's not something that he's going to be able to solve in a matter of months, but it's also not something that we need to continue to kick the can down the road on. Like,
it is not.
I think that if he is reelected, it needs to be, we need to hold his feet to the fire to stop the support of genocide, because there's a way to protect our allies without allowing them to murder their enemies' children.
Yep.
You know, that is not how we should be getting down anywhere in the world, you know, and then say that we are fans of democracy and freedom of expression and First Amendment and blah, blah, blah. You can't say all that and then fund somebody murdering innocents. And it'd be different if we could pretend that it was all collateral damage. But we've seen We've seen the surgical strikes. We've seen the targets. We've seen the misinformation, bombing hospitals, etc. There's no excuse for that. And we shouldn't be funding, supporting. We should suspend funding until the plan is put forward that says this is exactly what we're going to do so that doesn't happen again. And that's what the children are protesting for all across college campuses. They're not protesting for some pie in the sky, let's just stop and all be friends. They're protesting for a reasonable plan to stop the genocide. And I want a lot of people who are saying these kids don't know. Yes, they do. They know exactly what they're looking at.
Mm-hmm. They absolutely do. I mean, not for nothing, there's plenty of examples here in our own country. So while we're on that topic, Origin is available for streaming. You should watch Origin. Origin actually really checks on that topic. I took my boys to see Monkey Man. It is literally Slumdog Wick. I just saved you $13.
Okay.
It's Slumdog Wick, which is not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It is literally Dev Patel as Keanu Reeves in India killing people.
I mean, I might see that anyway. I saw John Wick 4. I might as well see John Wick 5.
No, it's definitely better than John Wick because there's no bulletproof like suits and stuff. He does get his ass kicked, but certainly an enjoyable.
So it's more like Kick-Ass.
No, it's Slumdog Wick. It is,
okay.
But it's fine. Slumdog Wick is not a movie to avoid. X-Men 97, just really quickly. You're kind of pissing me off, X-Men 97, but I'm still watching and I'm going to keep watching. With that, it's 37 minutes. 37 minutes is a pretty tight and tidy show, Joy.
I'm good with it. The reason, yes, sure. Fine.
Okay. So there's going to be a lot of Trump talk, obviously, over the next several weeks as we get into the season. We're nearing the end of the school year. Those of you who have kids, God bless you. Those of you who have kids that are graduating, God bless you. I hope that the political situation isn't affecting your kids' graduations and proms. My eldest child did not have a prom or an in-person graduation because of COVID. And now we've got this political unrest. Please be careful out there. Love on each other. Protect your families.
Wait.
I'm not. Yeah.
I got something.
Oh, we were supposed to play something. The kid.
Yes,
thing.
I had something I wanted to share. If I can get this started, we like to end on a positive note. And even though this has absolutely nothing to do with what we've been talking about, it does in a way, because we're about to showcase a young kid who defies the odds and shows, we worry about these kids don't know how to study. These kids have no ambition. Check this kid out, because your boy's fire.
I represent an entire generation. I hear the criticism loud and clear. That is how I know that the time is near. See, we become alive in a time of fear, and I ain't got no mother pick up pound to spear.
Never get a dream of being an astrophysicist.
Such a heavy burden placed upon me, but when you go hard, your nays become yays. Yankee Stadium with Jays and Kanye.
Scientific research, cosmology, finding solutions from the universe from my laptop. Started out with Black gay woman, first generation college graduate. I love that idea. I love that phrase. Nobody can gatekeep the stars from you.
Right.
I'm not sure if their pronouns were they or she, but I love the fact that, they could be the next, what's your boy's name? The black astrophysicist.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
The next Neil deGrasse Tyson, Or let me not even put it that way. The successor to Neil deGrasse Tyson, because you don't have to be the next anything. You have to be the first you. Right?
And also, he can be problematic at times.
I mean, who isn't at these?
And annoying as hell. But still a smart black man and an amazing future astrophysicist running simulations on their laptop, killing the game.
And flying confident with it too. I love the swag.
Absolutely.
I love you see it that you can get from that video. Also, getting by on your brains is where we're striving for everybody to be. So don't for a minute discount these youngsters and think that all they do is TikTok viral dances, because they out to change the world. It may not be the way we thought they would do it, but they're here to do it. We need to encourage them to be stronger in their stances, help them when they need help, clear the way where we can. That's our job at this point as the older generation.
Yeah, that's all we need to do.
Mm-hmm. And vote. And you know what? I'm gonna say this, and I can't believe I'm saying it. Yo, you got to start donating to these damn Democratic supporters. And you know what? I'll do you one favor further, because it's not my story to tell, but I have a friend that was getting into politics in my home state, and she went through a lot of things and discovered that the Democratic Party, who had kind of left her high and dry, was using her situation to bolster funding. Like, oh, see how this happened? Donate to the DNC because this is happening. And she's like, y'all wasn't even here for me. I had to get my own money for my own lawyers. Like, they didn't do jack shit for her, but they're trying to make it seem like they're on board. So be careful of the false ally. And if you want to donate to someone like Colin Allred or somebody like
Colin Allred
from their website, donate directly. Don't hit this DNC Act Blue if you're not 100% on board. Matter of fact, yeah, you can make sure that your donation is helping the person and not the juggernaut. Go directly to their website and donate. And then hit them off. All of y'all that watch us, I know y'all got disposable income. Break these people off with $50 to $100 at a pop, all across the nation.
Listen, I'm getting 6 texts from Colin Allred a day because I set up a recurring donation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry to text so late. Oh yeah, you might have missed my last "what you doing" text.
Right. Yo, Colin straight up be like, yo, bro, you up?
Yeah.
You up?
It's like, Colin, damn, bro. Like,
Obama texted me and I tried to have a conversation with him and it was a bot, though. I was mad. Because I was like, yo, Michelle ain't got to know, baby, where you at. But, he ain't answer. He liked me, though. He told me he did.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming and joining us on the show. We are going to, obviously, as we do over the summer, we will tend to, I think, be pretty regular. And so we will be here. We're trying to get some guests on. There are some people that I think are going to be coming into the mix in over the next several weeks. Yep. So stay with us. Spread the word, share with your friends, and ask them to like and subscribe with the notification bell, the ding, so that when we go live, they automatically get a notification. YouTube is, of course, open to everybody. Facebook, if they're on Facebook and they like the Facebookage, please, yes. We'd love to have a greater audience. And with that, I will say, I'm Tom Cunningham.
I am Joy Stevens.
And this is Steel Sharpens Steel.